Hello, and welcome to another episode of Testimonies Ablaze. My name, again, is Apostle Anne-Marie Bills, or just Anne-Marie, that's better. And I am excited today because I have a guest here from Entebbe, Uganda. And she's going to tell you all about how the Lord is moving through their ministries, and I say ministries because there are many in the city of Entebbe, Uganda, and her husband actually goes out far beyond Entebbe, but she's going to be talking about what they're doing in Entebbe, Uganda. So I would like to welcome my dear friend Jackie Mukisa from Entebbe, Uganda.
Well, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much for having me on your show of Testimonies Ablaze. I bring greetings from Uganda, and especially from my husband, Henry Mukisa, and the Cornerstone Community Church. 13 years ago, God called us out to the city of Entebbe. Me and my husband, we grew up from different places. I grew up largely from Kampala. He grew up from another area called Mukono. But when we got married, God called us to go out to Entebbe and to start a church. So 13 years ago, we opened a church. And around 4 years in our ministry, we noticed that we were working on nurturing people's spirits, sharing the word and all that. But then we discovered that the community where we were working, they could not receive the message very well because they were also either very poor or they were lacking a lot. So we came up with a mission to nurture a complete person where all aspects of life, body, soul, and spirit are enriched. So we were working on nurturing the spirit, but then we said we also have to think about people's physical needs or economic needs. Or education needs. So we decided to focus on categories of people that were really struggling. We looked at the young mothers, we looked at the single mothers, we looked at the children, we looked at the youth, and then we also looked at ministers that found themselves leading churches or pastoring churches, but they had not gotten very good education. So we decided to come up with different programs for the different categories of people. For the single mothers, the young mothers, and the youth, we decided to come up with a savings scheme. A savings scheme where people come together, pool minimum, deposit very little monies, but create a pool. Now, later they can come and borrow from that pool and be able to start income-generating activities or support their small businesses or take their children to school or basically to smoothen their consumption. So we started with, in 2015, with around 7 members, but now I'm glad to say that has grown to around 80 plus members. We started by sharing out that particular year only $5,000 US. But this time last year we shared out $55,000 US.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we've been able to grow the fund to that level, and it keeps growing.
Let me ask you this, because so that people in the U.S. are not familiar with the economies of other countries. Say you were a family of 4, mother, father, and 2 children.
Yeah.
How far would $100 go to feeding your family?
Oh, $100 for a family of 4, just feeding. That could cover like a month or so.
A month of
a minimum of 6 weeks. $100 would feed
6
such a
weeks.
family. Yeah. So and 3 meals a day.
3 meals a day for 6 weeks for $100. So for us here in the U.S., who can't even fill up the cart for $100 for a week, that's a pretty. So when we're talking about having $55,000 to loan to people to help build their businesses or whatever,
improve their housing,
take
their children to school, or largely people borrow for that. Because we are in Entebbe city, there's not much farming. So most people are either it's home consumption, housing improvement, education, and businesses basically. Yeah, that's what people are borrowing for.
Yeah, so in using that $100 example, I just wanted the people to understand that that's a huge number. That's a huge number.
Yeah, it is a huge number.
Yes. So along with that, you are also meeting education needs.
Yeah. So that that was designed particularly to support the young mothers, the single mothers, and the youth. So for the children, I was lucky. I went to good schools because my father could afford. My husband did not go to very good schools, and he did not complete his education. Actually, it is until we got married that he went back to school and he got his first degree. And then just last week on Thursday, he graduated in master's.
I saw that he just got his master's.
Yeah, he just got his master's, and he's been able to finish when he already has a family. So we noticed that many of the children had to either go to public schools. Now the public schools are supported by government, but government is not providing very good support. So the teachers are either always striking because they are not getting enough salary. There's not enough scholastic materials to support the school. There are so many operational costs that government cannot meet. So the education in the public schools is not really quality education. So most of the parents are forced to take their children to private schools, but the private schools are really pricey. They are really pricey. So we decided as a church also to start a school that provides quality education in the Entebbe area and at a very pocket-friendly cost.
Right. So how many children do you have?
So we started in 2015 with around 50 learners. And the school was only covering kindergarten 1 through kindergarten 3 and grade 1 and grade 2. But right now we have 350 learners. 80 of them are full board. They're in the boarding section. They get holidays like 3 weeks, and then two months when they break for Christmas. But 80 of them are full board, and we've seen the teacher, the staffing grow from around two support staff and 7 teachers. Right now we have 25 staff, of which 17 are teaching staff and 8 are non-teaching staff.
Wow.
And we were in a hired place, but now we've been able to move to campuses. One is fully owned by the school, and then one is leased out for 5 years. So we've seen that growth in a space of like 8 years, of which 2 of the years were not active years, because back home in Uganda, we had a 2-year lockdown during the COVID period.
Let me ask you this. What difference does it make in the life of the child to have the private education that you are providing compared to the public education?
Okay, there is a very big difference because, like I mentioned, most of these public schools and they are not able to meet all their operational costs. So the teachers are not paid well. So you have that teachers miss class or they skip class. You find that the children that are supposed to be there are supposed to receive scholastic materials from government, but they don't, basic things like books and stationery for the class, they don't have. And they are not able to go through all the modules that they are supposed to cover. But in a typical private school, like the one we are providing, we make sure that the child receives everything that they are supposed to receive, all the education material and all the education teachings, and we stick to the curriculum and the performance of because we have national exams, but the public schools usually pass the exams in either grade 3 or grade 4. But in the private school, we are able to register learners in the first grade and also second grade.
When you're talking first grade, when you're talking third grade, because
Yeah.
you say kindergarten and then you 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh, I'm talking about the grading of the performance.
What age level would you say is grade 3?
Okay, grade 3 in
The students in grade 3, about what age would they be? If they've gone from kindergarten 1 or...
Yeah. Grade 3, okay, let me see. Kindergarten 1 to kindergarten 3 would be like from 3 years, 3, 4, 3 to 6. Then grade 1 would be like 6 years or 7 years.
Okay.
Then grade 2, 7 years or 8.
Okay.
Then grade 3, 8 or 9, depending
So pretty
on the
much
child.
the same as here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's what it is.
So, but their prospects as grown-ups is far better to get jobs in.
Yeah, it's far better because we have a national grading system for the elementary, and then for high school, and for college, and as you keep going higher, there are fewer high schools and fewer like colleges.
Right.
We call them universities back home. So it is really competitive. So a child that has gone to a private school and they are able to perform and do very well in their national exams, it's easy for them to get into a very good, like get to the next level, get into a very good high school and get very good education. So there is continuity. But then the children that do not, that are not able to hit the mark, which is in the most case, what happens with public schools, they end up just either falling out, or when they go to vocational schools just to make sure that at least they have a trading, and yeah, so they are not very competitive. And back home, we call them white collar jobs. They are definitely the most paying jobs. Yeah. Right. So the children that are able to go through private schools and very good private schools and they keep performing well, easily secure such jobs.
And we talked about it because they have to test out to get into the higher grades.
Yeah.
That you are able to, your children are able to test out at a much higher rate than the average.
Yeah. Well, we've had two testings so far for the school. The first time we had 12 learners register for the exam, and at least 5 of them passed in first grade, and then the 7 got second grade. Then the second time we had 24, double the previous number, and 12 got first grade and 12 got second grade. We don't have any passing in third grade or fourth grade. So our school is really doing well. Yeah, and we are hoping this year we have 22. Less than the previous number by 2, but we are hoping to have at least 15 first grade. That would get us close to 70%.
But
good
that's in first grade, but it sounds like by second grade, so far you've had 100%. Well, you said so many in first grade and then the other 12 passed in second grade.
Yeah. So that makes it a 50-50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 50-50. Okay. Because we had 24, then 12 first grade, 12 second grade. So that's a 50-50%. Okay. Yeah. And we are hoping to up that performance, having at least 70% pass in first grade this year.
So, and then, because we talked about the money before, how much would it cost me as a parent to send my child to your school?
Okay. For kindergarten up to grade 2, $100 can educate a child in our school. But that for a term.
For a term, which is like you have 3 terms a year.
Yeah, we have 3 terms a year. So $300 a year would train a child. Then grade 3 up to grade 5, it will be around $120 per term. and then around 150 a term for grade 6 and grade 7.
So still less than $500 a term.
Exactly.
Less than $1,500 for the year to educate the child, which is a lot of money for Uganda, but not for us in the United States.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for Uganda, for an average school like ours. But the typical private schools in Uganda ask for a lot. It can be like $500 per term. Yeah.
So
ours
you are
is
able
really,
to do this at a much...
Yeah, we over-subsidize for the school. Yeah, and how are we subsidizing for the school? We are growing the food for the school, still part of our ministry. We opened a farm, and we grow most of the food that the learners eat at the school, so that we are able to reduce the operational costs. Yeah, because we noticed when we were running the school for a few years, we noticed that the biggest expenses were in salaries for the staff, food for the staff, and then because the school was still growing, we were also incurring high capital costs, like for constructing classrooms or like the dormitory section or toilets. So that's where most of our expenses are. So we decided to start farming to reduce on the operational costs.
So you really, your ministry has thought of trying to meet, as you said, body, soul, and spirit.
Yes.
You really are doing everything you can to treat or to minister to impact the whole community at all levels.
Yeah, and our church is called Cornerstone Community Church. So we are trying to not just focus on the church, but to also look at the aspect of community. So we are doing a lot, we are doing all these things to make sure that somehow the community is also impacted. And basically they don't view the church as like a standoff, kind of institution, but the community also feels for the church. And one other category of people that we've targeted, like I mentioned before, are leaders, church leaders or ministers, like many people who are called by God, and then they go and they start ministry, but many of them did not get formal education, or they are not even trained theologically. So we partnered with our mother church, Cornerstone Community Church in Singapore, and then also Zion Ministries in Wales, UK. And we've got a lot of materials. So we decided to establish Bible schools within Entebbe, and then also in other areas of Uganda. Churches send their ministers to a central place, and then these people are able to go through this training for at least 9 months for a certificate, or 2 years for a diploma. And then
I see you on the internet, on Facebook and everything, and you're also constantly holding like conferences.
Yeah, like right now we have a 3-day conference for ministers, and our partners from Singapore are around facilitating a 3-day conference with people coming from as far as northern Uganda, western Uganda, central Uganda, and then the Kampala area. And tomorrow, Friday, we'll have a graduation for almost 40 ministers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. And I know that your husband, Henry, does a lot of traveling throughout the rest of Africa.
Yeah.
And I'm training ministries.
Yeah, training, because we that section, we call it's Cornerstone Missions Africa. We establish Bible schools not only within Uganda, but also in Ghana, in Zambia, in Burundi, and Rwanda. And we're also planning to go as far as South Sudan
Wow.
Yeah, so Henry is the leader. He's the leader for that ministry. So he goes and makes sure he sends facilitators and trainers in all those different areas, and then he goes and oversees the graduations and also conducts seminars and conferences for the leaders in those areas.
So this is like this ministry of yours. You have the people that you impact directly, but the people that they impact,
Yeah.
and it just goes on and on and on. It's exponential.
Yeah.
So what you started 10 years ago, and you're also raising a family. You have two beautiful little children,
Yes, a boy who is 11 and a girl who is 9 years.
and your boy is Alpha,
Alpha Possible Mukisa.
and your daughter is
Esther Praise Mukisa.
Esther.
Yeah.
What a great name to be, to have Esther. What a powerful woman she was. So we see your daughter will grow up to, and your son, Alpha, the beginning, right?
Yeah, it was the beginning. He opened my womb.
Yes.
So we named him the beginning.
Yes.
And then we called Esther Praise, just because I loved Esther's character in the Bible.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and then also praise, because we were just praising God, you know. We have a son, we have a daughter, we just praising God. Amen.
That's so awesome. So you have the church, you work with the women, the single moms, the moms, with young children. You're teaching the children. You're making it affordable for many people to do this who normally couldn't. You have the savings plan so that people can grow their business and invest in themselves, but invest in the community at large for everybody who joins that group.
Yes.
So, I mean, what you have done is such a visionary plan. I think we were talking earlier, I was saying my husband's the visionary and then I get to do the implementation.
Yeah, and it's the same way with me. My husband is a vision bearer, and then I get to implement everything.
Right.
And he always teases me about it.
The men sit around and think about this stuff and then we do the work.
Exactly.
Although I know both of our husbands are hardworking too.
Yeah.
Yes, very hardworking. And I know that you have many partners across the United States, or several partners who really help
Yes.
with this, but there's always need. There's always needs. If anybody was ever inspired by this and wanted to help them, you can always contact us at HSBN. You know, the information has all been on the screen and always available to you. But if anybody was inclined to want to help out the mission, or it's not a mission for them because it's in their home country, but as a missionary outreach, if you wanted to contribute, you could always contact us, and we would be happy to get those funds to them. But we just have a few minutes left, but do you have dreams for expansion or new things in the future? Or?
Oh yeah. Right now we are trying to expand in 3 different areas. For example, for the church where it is sitting right now is a plot owned by the church, but we are not able to get the council to approve the plan because we had no parking space. So in the near future, we've saved up money up to the tune of around 80% of what we need to secure a nearby plot so that we have parking space, and then we can get the plot approved. And then for the savings group, as the members keep coming in, also the loan demands keep increasing.
Of course.
And we see that our fund is not that big to support everyone. So we are hoping to register it with government, because government has programs in the Ministry of Gender. It has programs where it can give you like a pool of funds which you manage externally from the people's savings, but then people can draw from that and you know, be able to meet their financial demands. So we are hoping to do that. Then also for the school, our biggest problem is space. We don't have enough space for the learners to play. And, you know, I said we have right from kindergarten, and, you know, those are very active children and all that.
Yes.
So we have a nearby plot that we are hoping to lease and maybe in the long time, like purchase, so that we can have more space for the children. Yeah.
Well, this is awesome because you did mention that because it's not just day children, but you have 80 students that live there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to have...
When they are not in class, like on weekends, they need space, you know.
Right.
They need space to play and be active and
Yes. So I am so excited to have you here. You first came in 2019, was it?
Yes,
And
September 2019.
and spend some time with us. And I know Henry has been here with us a few times, and we're looking forward to seeing him again. But it has been a pleasure to have you and to know the commitment that you have for the work of the Lord that He's called you to, and just everything you're doing is outstanding. And I know the scripture that comes to mind for is I'm well pleased with your life. You know, I think the Lord is really looking down and saying, I'm well pleased.
Amen.
And with you and Henry and your children too, because they're part of this, you know, whether they got into it on their own accord or because they were born into it. And I'm sure that their futures are bright and everything. So thank you so much for coming on our show. And we look forward to having you the next time, because tomorrow you're on your way back to Uganda.
Amen. Thank you too. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for the opportunity. And a special thank you goes to all those people that are supporting us. Thank you. May God bless you for us.
Yes. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on Testimonies Ablaze.